This is the Horizon FD87, and it's a really fascinating boat. It's also a really huge boat, so I'm going to take you on board and give you the full tour because there's an awful lot to see. Now, this boat is actually about 90 foot long overall, although it's actually CE registered as 24 metre, which is very handy for CE regulations. But the thing with it is, it's not a planing hull, it's a displacement hull, and there are some big advantages to that which I will point out, but the first one is the space that it gives. It gives so much volume on the boat that it just feels a cut above wherever you go. So we're going to start off here on the aft deck. Now what they've done with this, which is quite interesting, is rather than the usual dining area you usually find here, they've gone for a much more casual, entertaining area. I think that works very well. Now obviously if you wanted the dining area there, you could have it. But I rather like that. I think that's a great place to congregate. You're under the shade of the hard top. It's as soon as you come onto the boat, so it's a great place to welcome people as they come on board. I think that works really well. We've got storage in these lockers at the back, and then on the side here you've got things like a big fridge. There's the controls for the passerelle in there. That's the bridge that we walked across to get onto the boat. Safety equipment is in here, and there's a little sink and so on. Now the side decks down here, what they have done, which is quite clever, is you can of course sometimes get a bit of a draft coming down through here, so they've put these doors here on so that basically stop the breeze from coming through there and ruffling your bouffant. It's a nice touch. We're going to start on the inside. A lot of ground to cover on this boat, a lot of great things to show you, and then we're going to work our way through the entire boat, including of course all the deck areas, the engine room, crew cabins, the lot. Let's go. Now one thing I do like, you would expect to have a day heads on this boat, and of course it's got it, but they've put it back here. And that means if you're out in the cockpit or you're out swimming off the back of the boat, you haven't got to go traipsing through the accommodation, perhaps with wet feet, to get to the bathroom. I think that works really well. What else have we got on this side? We've got, that's for your glasses. And then over on the other side of the boat, we've got AV equipment. That's under there. And of course the big TV and the sound bar. And then down underneath here, this is storage along here. Now this is a model of the boat, and I will just show you this because you can actually see the whole profile here. It's very different to a planing boat. Look at the way they've extended it. There's like a wave piercer right out to the bow, and that really extends the waterline length and helps the boat run. We will talk a bit more about performance when we get down to the engine room, but it is quite impressive what this boat can do. There's a dining area up ahead. Again, another nice touch. You'll see there's these little sockets in the floor down here. What you can do with this is you can fold it in half and you can move it into there like a little sort of breakfast bar area. You can sit there and look out the back of the boat, or you can have it in the centre where it is at the minute, and you've got formal dining for 8 people. So that's a very adaptable. It means when it's tucked into there, it just opens this whole area right out. And another nice feature, we've got opening doors on both sides of the boat, so plenty of air through here. And also all of these doors, all of them, have these mosquito screens. So if you're somewhere where it's a bit mosquito-y, or it's the evening and it's getting dark, you don't want stuff coming in. So what you've got then is airflow, but it's keeping all the bugs out. There's a breakfast bar against the galley. Now at this size of boat, we are right on the cusp of a boat that an experienced owner might want to operate himself with no crew, and he could certainly do that. You would need to know what you were doing, obviously, but it's doable, and people do. So what they've done with this is they've kept this open plan. So we can just walk straight into here. It's open across there. It's open through here, and it makes it all part of the living area. However, if you do have crew, you can touch a button on here, and you can see there's a divider coming up now. And then over here, that slides across, and you can completely then enclose this area. So it gives it great duality of purpose. You've got a wine cooler in here. There are drawers for things like all the crockery, all nicely shaped. And this is all the proper Horizon stuff. Very nice. Click that back in for anybody with OCD like me. Dishwasher is in here. And then just tons of storage about the place, which of course is what you need on a boat like this. So all of this, all the way around up here. And what I didn't point out actually is that while you've got this closed off, there's a doorway here that closes this, and then there's a door out so the crew can come straight through here without going through the accommodation if they want to. So good crew routing. Anyway, onto the storage, which is around here, all the way around the tops, loads and loads of storage. Big sinks, and you've got a Miele hob and a Miele oven as well. And then also in this area, big fridge freezers by our favourite brand. That little silver fella, so that when you're at sea, you can drop that across and it makes sure that these don't come open if it's a bit rough. Obviously most of the time you just leave it like that. Now also on this deck, if we head forward, we will find the master cabin. So it's a proper main deck master cabin. It's proper super yacht stuff. And here we go. Really nice. Love the lighting in here. Areas like this across the back, underneath the pelmets. It's all very nice. You've also got big skylight in the ceiling. And in fact, there is an opening section if you slide that blind back. So that is a route out of this deck from this area if it's ever needed, if you couldn't get out the back for any reason. Nice little dressing area over on this side. And this is all compartmentalised. And then these big windows, we're in Port Andrax at the minute in Mallorca. So a lovely view out from here. And in fact, there is an option. You can choose to have this without the centre bar. So it depends how you want the styling on the outside of the boat. But if you just prefer to have that all glass, then you can do. Big TV in here, sound bar again. And then up at the head of this area, we've got the ensuite. The twin sinks. This will close off. So you've got these doors that come across. And then of course the actual toilet compartment has got its own solid door. So you've got total privacy there. And again, big window, very nice. There are blinds of course that drop down over those. And then we've got lots more storage here and underneath. And then there's a big rainfall shower over on this side. Very nicely done. This is all storage around here, and there's also a walk-in wardrobe in behind this door. Cedar lined. Lovely. Smells delicious. So hanging rails obviously, and then storage down underneath and so on. That is a nice cabin. Let's take it all in from here. Awesome. Let's press on. A lot of ground to cover on this boat. It is a really big, voluminous boat, even for the size that it is. That's another wardrobe there. I think we will head down first of all. As you can see, there's also an up, and we will explore that in a moment. I love these floating steps. We'll just look at them from here as we go under them, all lit underneath. That's a nice touch. And as we head down here, there are areas tucked away, which are things like your circuit breakers and that kind of thing. So they're easy to get to. And then we come down to the lobby. It's got lights that are motion sensor, so you might have noticed that clicked on then as I moved. So that will stay on now. In this area, we have got a very nice double cabin just here. There's a good sized big windows in here as well. And of course, ensuite, very similar arrangement to the master cabin with these sliding doors. And then you've got a door to that, obviously, and a solid door to the loo. One thing I will point out in here is that there is an escape hatch in the ceiling. So if you've had a problem and you couldn't get up those stairs, you drop that down, there's a ladder that clips into it, and that takes you straight up to the main deck. So that is another route out of here, which is a very reassuring feature. This is wardrobes across this bulkhead. Like so. But a very nicely appointed cabin, that one. Now on the other side, we have another big double cabin. And again, your wardrobes over here. We should have a look, shouldn't we? Nothing if not thorough. That's what we are. Air conditioning controls. You've got nice lights up by the bed. And of course, an ensuite to this cabin. All of the cabins, as you'd expect, are ensuite. Very similar arrangement again, so we won't go into too much depth on that one. One thing you might have noticed down here is upstairs they've gone for a light oak, so it's a very contemporary sort of loft feel to it. Down here they've gone for a much more cosy finish. So you've got the darker woods, for example, here, and you can see it also in here, places like this, and on here. So what they've done is just try to mute the colours a bit down here, just make it a little bit more restful. I think that's great. Normally these boats are exactly the same all the way through. That's just a bit of storage for towels and other bits and pieces you might want to keep down here. You've also got laundry facilities down here. So Miele, dryer and washer. There's a twin cabin, just here. However, you might notice there's tracks on the floor. You can lift that centre section out, slide one of these across, make that into a double cabin. You obviously then put the centre bit down on the side. So if you did want all doubles, you can have them. And again, there's muted colours. You've got TV on the wall. The ensuite on this one is a little smaller. It's obviously a little bit smaller cabin. But you've still got your separate shower stall and a nice towel rail and all the usual bits that you would hope to find. So that's 3 cabins, but there's actually a 4th, and the 4th is the VIP master. This is rather impressive. There we go. I mean, that is pretty much, for most boats, a master cabin size. But as I say, a VIP cabin on this boat, just master cabin dimensions. Again, you've got those muted shades, looks really good. Opening windows, so you can get a bit of light in here. This is all storage again across the top. There's also things like storage under the beds. So they've really tried to use every area. More storage down there. Love these little alcoves that they've put in with the downlights in. That's a very nice feature. And of course your AV equipment. This has its own ensuite, of course, that's down here. But that is a pretty spectacular cabin, isn't it? Excellent. Let's move on. You really get a sense of the volume on this deck. Out of all the decks on the boat, this just feels huge. And it's partly to do with that displacement form, because you get more volume. It's more of a U-shape hull than a V-shape because of the way the boat moves through the water. And that's what really accentuates the space down here. It's fantastic. Let's go on up. So what we're going to do this time is come back up to the main deck. That's where we came in at the beginning, and of course this dining area and the galley, you can see where I've put that thing up that closes it off. And then if we go on round, actually I do quickly want to show you this as well as we go past. That fella there is a central vacuum system. What that means is that rather than dragging a vacuum cleaner around the boat, there are sockets dotted all around the accommodation. You just plug a hose in, hoover away. Brilliant. Something you don't generally find under 100 feet, but this boat has it. A proper separate lounge area up here. How nice is that? Now these are very customizable. This one's been fitted out with like a desk unit here, so if you wanted to put a laptop here and work, you could do. But of course, have what you want. If you prefer seating down here, you can have it. You can set it up how you want when you order the boat new. There's a big TV that rises up, and again the sound bar, so this makes a great cinema area of an evening. And it also means, you know, if you've got a few people on the boat, you've got a bunch of kids and adults, the kids can come up here and watch a movie, the adults can be downstairs. You've got a lot of useful areas, and that's before we've talked about the outside of the boat, which is where we'll be going in a moment. Up ahead of this, the helm. It's a single helm on this boat, and that's what frees up so much space, because you haven't got anything on the main deck. It's all accommodation down there. Switch panel is in here, and then you've got your screens. So this one's set to radar, chart plotter and engine instrumentation, and of course you can configure these however you want. So if you'd rather have, for example, the autopilot displayed on here, well then you can have it. It's also got a bonning system, so this is a complete control system for the boat. At the minute it's just showing an overview of things like the tanks and the battery condition, but if we hit the menu button we can then dial into all kinds of things. So you could look at the navigation lights, switch them on and off. You can come back out of there. You can go to bilges and fans, so you can see exactly what's running, if any of the pumps are running, what fans are running. Fire dampers, these are shutters that shut off the engine vents. So if you ever had a fire, it would stop the oxygen from getting into the engine compartment. Has auto fire extinguishers as well, of course. What else have we got? Tanks are on here, so you can see exactly what you've got. Power management is on here. So you've got control of the whole boat from this screen. But one thing that's particularly interesting, I think, is the CCTV, because you've got various cameras around the boat. Engine room, for example, we can have a look in the engine room. We can have a look at the aft deck. But it's also remote control, so that's looking out across the back of the boat at the minute. But watch this. You can spin that round. And we'll even move it down a bit and make sure that Maggie is behaving herself. She's chilling out on the aft deck there at the minute. So that's a nice unit. What else have we got here? Obviously all of your engine controls, that kind of thing. So throttles here, thrusters, those are hydraulic, and it's also got fin stabilisation on this one. I think what we're going to do is take a walk out the back, and then we'll work our way around the decks and up to the front. So you've got a great upper deck area out the back. This is very nice to be able to sit here. You're under the shelter of this as the boat's going along. Nice little table and a terrific view out the back of the boat. And there's a bar area opposite. So of an evening, come and sit over here, have a drink, have a chat. Absolutely fantastic. And this has the bimini on at the top. Obviously this you can take off if you prefer. Now you can put a jet ski or a rib up here. You can also put one on the bathing platform, which means you can carry both. And you can choose where you have them. And that of course is the crane that lifts on and off. These are life rafts, these canisters on either side. So that's for an emergency situation. And we also have here, that's like a hot plate for cooking on. What a huge area that is though, for an upper deck. You can get one of these boats with a small stairway and another deck with an open driving position up on top if you want it. I'm not sure you would at this size, but if you did want it, it can certainly be done. Let's head down this side. We will stop and have a quick look at what we've got here, because in here are things like big fridge. We've got bins in here, very practical. That is the ice maker, so it's all very well catered for, and you've got a sink in underneath there. Cool, let's head on forward. So we'll head on down the side. You'll notice that this is scalloped out slightly here. It's like a wing station. There is actually a remote control that controls the engines and the thrusters and all that kind of thing. So when you're manoeuvring the boat, you can come out here and stand and see right down the side of the boat. That's why this extends out. They're on both sides. So that's a brilliant feature. It means you can watch the boat in when you're manoeuvring it. Down here then, brilliant foredeck area. There's a sink, and underneath here, there's storage for deck gear up here, so cleaning equipment, that kind of thing is in here. These are these pop-up lights. I think we've seen these before. So you drop those away and they switch off. But they look great at night. And of course you've got low-level lighting all the way around. Now whenever I show the lights on these boats, people will say, you should do a tour of one of these at night. And I have. Not this actual boat, but one like it. If you search for Aquaholic illumination, just Google it or enter it into YouTube, you'll find it. Anyway, big deck area up here. This is fabulous. What a great place to sit, especially when you're stern to berthed in the Med as we are at the minute, because you can sit up here and your view is not of the quay, it's of that. That's very nice. These poles are so that you can put a bimini top over here and get more shade if you want it. But if you want a little bit more privacy, head right to the front. You've got sun pads on here, and then right up the front, I love this little seat tucked away. What a romantic little spot that would be of an evening. Away from everybody, and with this view. Love that. You've got cleats and winches and that kind of thing up here as well, of course. And there's a huge storage void down underneath here, so you can get a lot of the deck gear and that kind of thing tucked away underneath. Let's go right to the front, take a look back. That's quite an imposing machine, isn't it? Let's move on. So back up here, I noticed this earlier, which I thought was quite a good idea. It's actually got a fire hydrant in here. So if you've ever had an emergency situation, you've got instant access to a hose. There's another one of those in the cockpit. Neat idea. Let's move on back. In fact, let's have a look on top. So up here is things like some fairly serious air horns, and then you've got satellite communication domes on the top, your radar, antenna, lights. That's a searchlight up there on the front. all that kind of stuff, all mounted on the top. And you'll notice they put a non-slip material on there, so if people are going up there to clean or to do any maintenance, that is not a shiny, slippery surface. Very practical. Okay, let's carry on around a bit further. Stereo speakers up here as well. Another of these wing stations. So again, you use that remote control. You can stand out here and you can watch the boat in. And because you've got doors straight into here, you can go from side to side very easily. And of course, don't forget you've got that camera system as well, so you can watch the boat from there. Let's head on right back and we'll go and take a look at the engine space and the crew cabin. And then there's one really lovely area that we're going to finish up on, which if you're observant, you might have spotted as we came onto the boat, but I'm saving that for last, so stick with us. Nice. You right there, Maggie? Okay, on this side is a doorway, and this takes us down to the crew area and the engine access. So down here there are two crew cabins. There's one here. So in here you've got two singles. Full standing headroom, of course. You've got a locker at the back, you've got drawers down here, so there's places for people to put things. And opposite that then is a cabin with a double. So again, it's giving you loads of flexibility. And again, all storage across in places like this. There's a big wardrobe and drawers down by the bed and so on. These are all air conditioned, and as you'd expect, power sockets and lighting and all that kind of stuff. Very nice. Now these share a heads, and that's in here. Great size, and you have actually got a proper separate shower stall as well in this one. So it's a proper thing. And what we've also got in here, of course, is the business end. So, check this out. Now these are a pair of MTU V10 engines. They are 1,600 horsepower each. There's actually quite a lot of options that they do for engines, so you can have different makes, you can have different horsepowers, a lot of customization again. But with these, you're looking at about 20 knots flat out, and then cruising really anything between about 8 knots and up to about probably 16 knots. So you've got a very wide cruising range. However, the big news is keep it at 8 knots and you've got 3,000 miles of range. So it's proper explorer stuff. You can really cover distance with this. It actually holds 13,000 litres of fuel, and that's in 2 tanks plus a main holding tank, which feeds the 2 day tanks. And in fact, the other interesting statistic I thought is that at 8 knots, it's actually using 36 litres an hour. I don't think that's bad for a boat this size, do you? Generators are in here, of course. There's one here, and there's one over on the other side. You've got battery management systems. This is the MTU engine management system, and next to it is the track stabilizer system. Huge fire extinguishing systems. This is automatic, but also you can fire it off manually. That's what this is for. There's a camera in here, that bonding system I showed you, and that again is one of those cameras that you can pan and tilt, so you can keep an eye on this from the helm. Very well lit, very nicely done. Massive headroom. And the other thing we find in here is a water maker. That fellow there, Aquamatic, that's making you fresh water out of seawater. So again, long distance cruising, you don't have to worry about your water capacity because that's being topped up all the time. Very nice indeed, very nice. Look at details like this little sink in here so you can wash your hands. You've got a vise in here. These are the fans that flood the air through here to keep the engines fed, and that's what I was mentioning earlier about those fire shutters. It would shut those off, so if you ever had a problem it would starve this area of oxygen, as well as, of course, the automatic fire extinguishing system. Not something you are ever likely to need, but very nice to know that it's there. Now just one or two other things to show you while we're in here. There is more laundry facilities, so the crew don't have to go into the guest areas to do laundry. And you've also got practical things like another big switch panel and controls for things like the inverter and all that kind of thing, circuit breakers and so forth. Now you might think that is a great crew area, the only thing it's missing is a mess, and you'd be right, except check this out. This I think is possibly my favourite part of the boat. You ready? Now what we have here is one of the most fantastic dual purpose areas I've ever seen, because as it is at the minute, with this huge transom section lifted up, it's a beach club. It's right at water level. You can sit here and have a drink of an evening. You can watch the kids playing. You've got, of course, a jet ski or a rib that can sit on this platform and that lowers into the water. And you've got a bar area here as well. Very well catered. It's got a fridge. It's got a hob, microwave. There's a TV even that swings out up there. That's a wonderful beach club area. But you drop that transom back down. It fits. You can see the line of it here and up and along. It turns this whole area into a crew mess. So it's brilliant, it's dual purpose. And there's a big door on it, you can see it up there, so that when this is down, you've got access from this area, not just up to the cockpit the way we came in, but also straight out onto the back of the boat. I think that is brilliant. Such a neat idea. It would be so nice of an evening to sit here and have a drink and enjoy the world. But also it means with this closed down, what a great crew mess. Fabulous. These stools, of course, swivel away. Very, very impressed with that. That is a real finishing touch. Nice. So there you have it. I'm going to sit down here. I'm going to put my feet up. And I'm going to say huge thanks to Horizon Yachts for organising that. Really appreciate it. And I'll put a link to those guys in the description. So if you want to buy one, give them a shout. And huge thanks to you guys for watching. If you've not subscribed, do hit that little button and hit the bell, because it really helps the channel and will let you know, of course, each time a new video is uploaded. We will look forward very much to catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.